It's time. Time to pick every spread and every total for NFL Week 15. Welcome, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and all of my degenerates. It's Mitch here with my breakdown, analysis, and yes, my prediction for every spread and every over-under for Week 15. If that sounds good, you know what to do. Gronk, spike the like button, and don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't for weekly NFL best bets and picks every week on Money Mitch. If you're wondering, Mitch, where do I get your bets that you're actually making with your money? Good question. That's on Patreon. Link in the description. Pinned comment in the comment section below, where I want you to let me know, do you love my picks? Do you hate my picks? Let me know in the comment section below. But that's where you can also find my Patreon. So check it out. $5 a month for all of my picks, all of my NFL bets every week of the season, including the rest of the regular season, the playoffs, and yes, even the Super Bowl. So check that out, guys. Like the video. It does help the channel. It helps other NFL fans find the Money Mitch channel. And let's get to it. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a must-win spot at home, favored by 4.5 in Tampa Bay. Total 44.5, and it is shaded towards the under, shaded towards 4. The Atlanta Falcons, without Drake London, officially, he's out. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Evans, probably playing this game. Probably. He is questionable. But Todd Bowles did say, more likely than not, right, that Mike Evans will be playing. Dennis, starting linebacker, out. Not a very good player anyways. Don't really care. Cade Otton, doubtful. Pretty impactful to their short passing game. But if Mike Evans is back, I could care less. And they are missing Tyke Smith, who is a depth defensive back, Swiss Army knife-like player, solid player, but I don't think he is irreplaceable. I think the Bucs win this game. I think the Bucs cover. I think the Bucs need a statement victory. Everyone is off of the Bucs. Everybody wants to get off the train, the bandwagon, whatever it was with Baker Mayfield this year. And I'm backing the Bucs in a big game. They have so much experience and championship pedigree in these moments. You're talking Vita Vea, Jamel Dean, Levante David, even Hassan Reddick. You're talking Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tristan Wirfs. These guys have Super Bowls, including Todd Bowles. And if there's one thing Todd Bowles does well, it's stop the run. It's know how to stop the run. With the season on the line, basically, a must-win in the division to stay and keep up their pace alongside the Panthers. They need to win this game, and I think they do. I think the Falcons, with Kirk Cousins, without Drake London, it's a subpar passing game. They have no explosiveness. They have no movement from the quarterback. They have really no threat of outside the numbers vertical passing game. Everything's in the run game. If Todd Bowles can take away the outside zone of Bijan Robinson, they can tackle well in the screen game, and they can get some pressure with some blitzes against a quarterback that can't move off his spot, interior pressure specifically, I think the Bucs will have success defensively more than most weeks. They've been lit up a couple times this year, but I think the Bucs defense will come to play at home with a rowdy Tampa Bay crowd. Kirk Cousins simply isn't it. He's not the same player. And as I've said already a couple times, his arm can't register what his brain is processing. Cousins might know that this blitzer is coming. He might know the coverage on the back end, but he can't get the ball to where it needs to go in time. And when he does know, he plays with almost too much anticipation because he understands he lacks the zip on the football to get it there where it's needed. Cousins, I think, will be hit. I think he will be sacked. I think he will turn it over. And I do think the Bucs will slow down Bijan Robinson. Not completely eliminate or shut down, but slow down Bijan Robinson. And I think this Bucs defense will be flying around. It's part of the reason I like the under 44.5. On the other side, with Mike Evans back, I do believe that this passing game will have more of a big play feel. They've been struggling on fourth downs. They've been struggling in the red zone. They haven't been quite the same third down offense. And I think a lot of that comes down to they don't have Mike Evans. And whether it be because teams can play coverages differently, they can gravitate towards taking away Emeka Egbuka or Chris Godwin in certain situations and not Mike Evans, I think Mike Evans makes everyone else better. I think he is the ultimate red zone wide receiver. And just watch that game last week. They couldn't convert on a fourth down. That was the reason they lost to the Saints. So I believe that the Bucs bounce back. I think they win. I think Mike Evans gives them just a little bit of a spark to this football team, an energy that they've needed, and I think a consistency in the passing game that they've needed. I think it takes pressure off of Chris Godwin. I think it takes pressure off of Emeka Egbuka, the rookie who struggled. I think they'll run the ball well against the Falcons team that can be had in the run game, especially when you're worried about Mike Evans on the outside and you can't really sell out to stop Bucky Irving or pack the box because with Emeka Egbuka and Chris Godwin, yeah, they're decent receivers, but they don't have that vertical dimension. Evans does. I feel like Bucky will have a big game. Baker will get back to normal. And yes, the Falcons can blitz and get some pressure at times on this offensive line and Baker Mayfield. But Baker is such the better quarterback here. This is the home team. This is the team with more weapons. This is the better passing game. I love the Bucs here. I think they win. I think they cover. I think they win by like around a touchdown plus. And they look the best they've looked in a while. I really do believe that. I will also take the under because, like I said, I think the defense will show up for this game. And I do have my questions still about the Bucs offense in terms of its rhythm, its play calling, and its efficiency in those big spots, the red zone being one of them, fourth down being another one of them. But I'll take Tampa Bay. Something like, we'll go 24-17 is standing out in my mind. I'll go 24-17, 27-17, somewhere in that range, okay? Tampa Bay wins, Tampa Bay covers. Now to Sunday, the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore favored by 2.5. The total is 51.5. This is interesting. Lamar Jackson did not practice on Wednesday once again. Trey Hendrickson appears to be out for the year for Cincinnati. T. Higgins was a limited participant, which is a big deal. So, based on that, I would assume that T. Higgins is going to play. I kind of assumed that T. Higgins wouldn't play because he got concussed again. Again? There was some weird stuff with Joe Burrow today at the podium. I don't really like the vibes that Joe Burrow is giving off at the podium. It was a little odd. I don't know if you guys saw that. But T. Higgins did individual drills at practice. He's working through concussion protocol. He looked pretty good at practice just based on the video I see on Twitter. So I'm leaning towards that he plays. I'm trying to not allow this Joe Burrow stuff to affect my analysis. I do not like what I've seen from the Ravens. They've lost a couple of games in a row. They were blown out by the Ravens. The Ravens were blown out by the Bengals in the first game. They weren't blown out by the Steelers, but they were trailing the entire game. Their defense just has a lack of a pass rush. Their run defense is spotty. And they really just rely on red zone defense. You can move the ball at will against this defense between the 20s. Proven by the Bengals in the first game. And then, offensively, their offensive line is not the same. Their guard position is terrible. And their receiver play outside of Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely is good and he'll have a good game. The Bengals are terrible against tight ends. And Mark Andrews probably has a good game too. Keaton Mitchell is questionable. He did leave last game. He's a pretty efficient runner when he gets the football. But for some reason, they continue to force feed Derrick Henry. He's getting to be too old. But the Ravens are a pretty healthy team, besides the guys that we know are out. I probably won't be betting on this game, but I'll go with the over 51.5. I do feel like Joe Burrow has just always been able to move the ball against the Ravens. I feel like he knows their defense. He knows their personnel. He's going to have time because the Ravens don't have a great pass rush. The game's in Cincinnati. T. Higgins didn't even play the first game, right? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, who looked great against the Bills. Chase Brown has had really good games. I just kind of feel like the Bengals are going to be able to move the football, matriculate the football, create a couple explosives to Jamar Chase, who seems to dominate this team every single time. So I think the Bengals will score. And on the flip side, I think the Ravens will be able to run the ball pretty well. I think that the Ravens will be able to hit their tight ends off play action. I think that will be the formula that they utilize in this game. This, I don't think, will be the blowout that the first game was, just because I thought the first game was a little bit fluky from like a turnover standpoint. And Isaiah Likely fumbled the ball in the end zone and all that stuff. Like, there were some fluky plays. So I do think this will be a one-score game. But I kind of want to take the Bengals plus 2.5. This could be their year to sweep the Ravens. I don't like how Lamar's playing. I just don't like the way the Ravens look. And I thought there was a lot of good aspects of what I saw from Cincinnati last week. I thought Cincinnati looked great in the passing game. I thought that Burrow looked completely healthy. I thought that the defense wasn't very good, but that's Josh Allen, that's James Cook, that's Buffalo in Buffalo. It's not the way the Ravens look right now, who kind of struggled against a bad Steelers defense. And I do think that in the previous matchup, the Bengals threw some things at the Ravens that kind of took them off guard. So I think the Bengals can win a shootout here. I do. I do. And I like getting 2.5 points in a game where it could be like 31-30. So I'll take the 2.5. Why not? I probably won't bet this one because it's hard for me to believe the Ravens will be swept by the Bengals, but at the same time, I don't like these Ravens. I don't like how they're playing at all. So give me the Bengals plus 2.5 and give me the over 51.5. Next up, we've got the Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. The total is 47.5. The Giants are -2. Let me get back to the total, but I do like the Commanders quite a bit, +2 here. Now, I don't know who's going to be the quarterback quite yet. I do not know why the Commanders would dress and play Jaden Daniels. He got hurt in the Vikings game. He's been hurt all season. He continuously is having issues staying on the field. They have no hope for the playoffs. I just really do not understand why the Commanders would want to put their young franchise quarterback in jeopardy. That being said, I, as somebody that actually wants to bet on the Commanders, wants Marcus Mariota to play because I actually think that you're going to get more points. The line's going to move in the Commanders' direction in terms of you're going to get a 3. You're maybe going to get a 3.5. Like, I think the books are still giving that value without Jaden Daniels. And honestly, I think Mariota has played better than Daniels for the most part all year. And I think you might be getting the guy that's been playing better all year and not some limited hurt quarterback that is inflating the line in the wrong direction on the team that I actually want to bet. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of want Mariota to be the guy playing. Now, watch out for a couple injuries. Chris Rodriguez, their running back, who's been playing well, did not practice today. Also, Jonathan Jones, who's been starting at corner, did not practice today. Von Miller's been resting. Bobby Wagner's been resting. They'll probably be playing on Sunday. Laramie Tunzel also been resting. He did not practice today. But I do think Laramie Tunsil, he'll be back in the lineup. Noah Brown is back. That's kind of a good thing. I look at this Commanders thing and Commanders team, and I think the Commanders are a better team than the Giants. I think that they have the better offensive line. I think that they have the far superior run game. I think that they have the better receiving core, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, even without Zach Ertz. And I do think the Giants have the better front seven, but the Giants are cripplingly awful against the run. And I think the Commanders are a very good run scheme and very good run team. Ever since Cliff and Dan Quinn and even Jaden Daniels got there, the Commanders have kind of owned the Giants and won a lot of these games. And for the first time in these matchups, I feel like they are an underdog. So I like the Commanders as a dog, given that they've won these matchups in the past, whether it be Mariota or Daniels. But I would rather have Mariota because he's healthier. I've seen him play well recently, and I think he's a real big problem for the Giants when it comes to running the ball, which is where I think the Commanders can control this game and win this game is through their ground attack. It also could be snowing here or have some sort of impact from the weather, which means that, hey, okay, the Giants, Jackson Dart, a rookie, played at Ole Miss, right? I don't know how much success he's going to have in bad weather or cold weather. I don't know how good he's going to be with those elements. But Marcus Mariota is a very experienced quarterback. He's a guy that can run it himself. Jackson Dart looked timid against the Patriots in a primetime game to run the ball. He got absolutely annihilated by Christian Ellis and the Patriots defense. And there's many elements here that I like the Commanders. I also think the Commanders, they can actually play a bit of man coverage against the Giants because they don't have Malik Neighbors, who's torched them in the past. They don't have really a go-to guy at wide receiver that can separate and win against man coverage. Maybe that's Wan'Dale Robinson, but the nickel corner spot's actually one of the stronger spots on this Commanders defense. So, yeah, I think the Commanders can just do better in terms of their run game. I think they can control the possession of the game. I think they have more dynamic weapons. Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, get them the ball in the snow or whatever it may be. Cliff's a smarter coach. Dan Quinn, this is a better coaching staff. I think they might have the better quarterback. I think they have the better offensive line. So yeah, I like the Commanders getting points. There's some injuries for the Giants. They're getting a little bit healthier, but a couple guys, Nunez Roches, a big man in the middle, Kayvon Thibodeau still isn't practicing. Those are a couple big injuries. It does appear that Tyrone Tracy will be back after the bye week to help him get healthier. But yeah, I think this Giants team we saw on Monday night, they look like they gave up. They look like they're not playing with hunger, fire. They're not playing with any sort of physicality. The Commanders, they look terrible against the Vikings, but I think that's all the more reason why to back them here. I don't think they're going to come out and lay an egg twice in a row. I think Dan Quinn gets his teams typically fired up, and I think that they'll play with some heart here. So I'm going to take the Commanders as the dog. 47.5. I will take the over just because I don't believe in these defenses. I think the offenses are better than the defenses. I think that the Giants should be able to run the ball on the Commanders. I think the Giants, if Jackson Dart plays the way he did to the previous games before New England, I think that he'll still be able to create some plays, ad-libbing and moving around against a bad pass rush. The Commanders have a really bad pass rush and a really poor defensive line, and I think that's where the Giants can run the ball. The Giants should have time for their quarterback. The Giants should be able to create some plays downfield, and on the flip side, like I said, I think all the elements of the Commanders should be able to run the ball, which is going to open up their passing game, which is going to open up Terry McLaurin down the field. I think as long as it's not really, really, really bad weather, I do believe that sometimes even the snow doesn't impact these games, just as we saw with the Bengals and the Bills. I think these are two bad defenses that I'm willing to bet against. I'll take the over 47.5. The next game is the Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The total is 43.5. The Chiefs are -4.5. The total is very low. First of all, that is very low for a game between Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. The total 43.5. Yeah. And then the spread is 4.5 for the Chiefs at home. I do like the Chargers with 4.5. And a lot of people are going to be on the Chiefs this week, and I don't really understand it. I don't get it. I mean, the books still have the Chiefs as like a top 5 team in the NFL, and I don't know what that is. Actually, I'm seeing the total is 41.5 now, so this is incorrect, actually. My graphic, I should have updated it. It's incorrect. I'm sorry about that, guys. Hopefully not all of them are incorrect, but yeah, that is one where that is way off. Okay, so that's 2 points off. That must have changed like overnight. That's crazy. 2 points? I don't know if this is going to be super impacted by weather. I'm actually going to look that up right now. That might be the only reason why it would change by 2 points. Or if Justin Herbert doesn't play or something, but I don't know why Justin Herbert wouldn't play. He made it through last game fine. So I'm going to look up the weather here for this game. Nothing stands out. Nothing's even coming up for the weather. It's weird. I don't know why the total went down by 2 points, but I kind of I guess the Chiefs and the Chargers both have offensive line injuries, but we kind of already knew that. Maybe it's just a reaction to that and seeing the Chargers against the Eagles. I do think that the total is interesting. I could see it maybe being slightly over 41.5, like in the 42-43 range. I could see this being like 23-20. At the same time, I don't really want to bet it because the offensive lines and the state of the offensive lines. Looking at the injury report for the Chiefs, there's nothing out for the Chargers yet because they played on Monday night. Jawan Taylor did not participate. Their left tackle's out for the season. Trey Smith was a full participant, which means he's probably back for this game. Wanya Morris also did not participate. So Trey Smith's major, though. Trey Smith is a difference maker. I'm actually going to say I'll take the over at 41.5, not 43.5. I'll take the over at 41.5. I think it will be like 23-20, 24-20, somewhere in that range. I also think that in the first game, Herbert had the best game of his season. I know that the Chargers' offensive line is really beat up, but the Chiefs do not get pressure with 4 guys. The Chiefs have to blitz to get pressure. And they probably will be able to get pressure through blitzing at times, as they did against the Texans. And yes, the Chiefs are a much better defense at home, but the Chargers lit them up in the first game. They kind of did whatever they wanted in the passing game in Brazil in that week 1 matchup. And it's because those receivers were winning their matchups down the field vertically. Hampton is back. Vidal's in the backfield. I like the way they're running the football. I do think that the Chargers can at least get around 17 here. I do think there's a familiarity against Spags that Herbert does have to know like his tricks and to know where his blitzes are coming from and know how to identify that stuff. Like I do think there's some of that there where you should have familiarity. 4.5. I feel like that's too many points. Like the Chiefs don't cover 4.5 points very often against decent teams. And the Chargers have the better record. The Chargers are the team more likely to go to the playoffs. The Chargers do have a very good defense. As we broke down last week, like the Chargers' passing defense is very, very good. And the way to attack the Chargers is by running the football. The way to attack the Chargers is running the football downhill at their defensive line. And I don't know if the Chiefs can do that sustainably. I think they'll be able to do that at times. And that might be the key to the game. Can they get Kareem Hunt going, Isaiah Pacheco going on downhill runs, get under center, run the football, get their inside zone going? And maybe Trey Smith coming back really does help that aspect. And that's going to have to be the key and ingredient for the Chiefs here. Because in the passing game, I think the Chargers still hold an edge. I think Derwin James can take Travis Kelce out of the game. I really love the way the Chargers can pass off their zones and communicate in their secondary. And I think they've always kind of had this Minter defense has had a good grasp on Patrick Mahomes and what he wants to do in terms of keeping him in the pocket, tightening those windows. And I do think the Chargers have the edge there. So both defenses do have an edge, which is why the total is so low. But I still think the Chiefs will be able to create a little bit of a run game. I think the Chargers will be able to create a little bit of a run game. I think both quarterbacks can make plays outside the pocket, moving, scrambling, running. And I do think that these receiving cores can make some plays against these secondaries. So I just think this is a tight AFC West game. rivalry game. We saw the first one, the Chargers kind of dominated, in my opinion. Yes, they don't have that same offensive line, but I think their defense keeps them in it enough. Herbert keeps them in it enough. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try to go on long drives. It's going to be cold. I think the Chargers are a physical football team. I'm not worried about the Chargers playing outdoors. I'm not worried about the Chargers playing in the cold. I think with 4.5, the game's going to be 23-20, 24-20, 21-17, somewhere in that range. So I like getting 4.5, especially if everyone is thinking this is going to be more of an under at 41.5. So I'll take 4.5 with the Chargers. Next, the New York Jets at the Jacksonville Jags. The total is 41.5, and the spread is 13.5. Jacksonville minus 13.5. This is ridiculous. I mean, Jacksonville being a 13.5 point favorite against anyone in the league is pretty outrageous. Now, I'm unsure who the quarterback is going to be for the Jets. I think that's probably the biggest question in this game. I think that Jacksonville is probably lining up to play, I don't even know, Justin Fields maybe? But Justin Fields didn't participate today, and Tyrod Taylor didn't participate. And the Jets do have a lot of injuries. Harrison Phillips, Mason Taylor, Thomas, one of their corners, their rookie, Quincy Williams, their linebacker, Breece Hall, their running back, Jermaine Johnson, their defensive end. A lot of guys that aren't participating in practice. Meanwhile, Jacksonville is pretty healthy. Andrew Wingard might be back fully. Parker Washington might be back. Also, Walker Little might be back. He was limited. So, yeah, this is an injured team against a pretty healthy team. And it is in Jacksonville. If it's Brady Cook, I kind of have to take the Jags. But if it's Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor, I kind of have to take the Jets. It kind of comes down to who the quarterback is. I kind of feel like it's going to be Brady Cook. I kind of do. So that being said, I guess I'll take Jacksonville. I don't like it, though, because I don't like or trust Jacksonville covering 13.5 points against most NFL teams. That being said, Jacksonville's defense has been very good at home this year. They do force a lot of turnovers. They do force a lot of panic throws. And they're a different defense when they have guys like Trayvon Walker and Jordan Lewis out there. And I was really impressed by Trevor Lawrence last week. I thought he played one of his better games. As long as he plays mistake-free in this game, which the Jets force very little turnovers, very few interceptions, they should be fine. They should be able to run the ball a bit against the Jets. They should have, against man-to-man coverage, a couple of good matchups for Brian Thomas and Jacoby Myers to take advantage of. Yeah, the more that I think about it, if it's Brady Cook, I think Jacksonville is the side. So if it's Brady Cook, I'll go Jacksonville. If it's Fields or if it's Tyrod, I think 13.5 is too many points. And I think the spread will probably move down to like 11. But yeah, I'll take Jacksonville. As you guys can kind of tell, I am not planning on betting this game. 41.5, I will take the under because I do think Jacksonville will run the ball a lot. I think they'll play rather conservatively on offense. And I think defensively, they'll probably dominate if it's Brady Cook. I mean, he did absolutely nothing in the last game against the Dolphins. So give me the under 41.5. Next, we've got the Raiders at the Eagles. Eagles favored by 12.5. The total is 38.5, 38. Okay, I'm looking at 38 right now, but it could be 38.5 depending on where you look. The Eagles minus 11.5. I will take the Raiders with 11.5, 12.5, doesn't really matter. And I will take the under 38. I think the Eagles are an under team. I think if the Raiders cover, I'll take the double-digit spread with the under, which is already a low number. So, again, correlation, 38 is not a lot of points. I'm going to take the 11.5. The Raiders, I think they can do a couple things well. I think that they can stop the run fairly well, and that's one thing that you need to do against the Eagles. They play a lot of zone, which is kind of what Jalen Hurts struggles with, and they do have a competent defensive line. They also do have a couple playmakers, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. I do think Kenny Pickett, if he is the starter, which I think he will be, is going to be a little bit of a spark for the offense. This game could also be impacted by snow or cold, but I've seen maybe possible snow for this game. So that I think makes it tighter because I don't think Jalen Hurts is the type of quarterback who can really throw that well in the snow. And Saquon kind of bailed them out in those moments last year, but they're not really running the ball that well. And I think the Raiders will kind of overplay that aspect. Now, my worry here for the Raiders is that they'll take too many chances on the outside and leave A.J. Brown one-on-ones, which is going to make it too easy for Jalen Hurts. But I kind of feel like the Raiders defensively are smart enough from a coaching perspective to not allow that to happen in pure passing situations. And Kenny Pickett is kind of experienced in bad weather. He did play in Pittsburgh for a couple years. He played at Pitt in college, so he's experienced in bad weather. He played in Philadelphia. He also knows this team. He knows this defense. He knows this scheme, so he's practiced against it. There are certain aspects there where he'll be familiar, I think, with some of the personnel. So that could also be an advantage for the Raider quarterback. Can Brock Bowers make some plays here? I'm intrigued to see if we see a Cooper DeJean and Brock Bowers matchup. That will be interesting. The Raiders do have a very poor offensive line. They're going to need to run the ball. But considering it could be bad weather, I think that will inherently slow the game down. I think that will inherently slow down Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense. And I think that the Raiders' defense will be able to go toe-to-toe with the Eagles for most of this game because the Eagles are completely inept. They don't have any creativity on offense. They can't really run the ball for explosives outside of that one play against the Chargers on a fake tush push. So I'll take the under. I'll take the Raiders. Too many points. Give me Kenny Pickett to give them a spark in this game. Next, 40.5 is the total for the Panthers and the Saints. Carolina -2.5. I do think I like the Panthers here, and they might be a best bet. The Panthers under a field goal to get revenge on the Saints from a loss earlier in the season. 40.5. I will take the over. I think 40.5 is a low number for a game being played in a dome. So I will take the over 40.5. That's just not a lot of points. And I do think Tyler Shuck is generally and genuinely underrated. I do think Bryce Young played really well against the Rams, and I do think that Bryce Young can have success against this secondary. I think that he can dink and dunk his way down the field. The Saints are a very soft coverage-oriented team, and I do think Tetsuo and McMillan could have a good game here. I also think that the Panthers have a run game that the Saints are going to have to overcompensate and try to stop, which I think could open some things up. I think what we saw from the Panthers is exactly what they should be on offense going against the Saints, is take your checkdowns, take your quick throws, and then when the Saints give you opportunities for shots to McMillan or shots to Coker, I think you hit those throws down the field, just as you did against the Rams. Looking at the Panthers, they're coming off a bye week. They've had extra preparation. The Saints are coming off a big spoiler game, a big road win, a big rookie win for their Tyler Shuck, their young quarterback. That's all going to be, I think, impactful for a Saints team that they're playing for nothing. They're probably going to be riding high, heads in the sky. And I think the Panthers, they know what they need to do here. They need to win this game. This is a huge game for them. They can't afford to drop this game. I think Canales will have some small things coming off the bye week that they'll do better for Carolina. I think they'll have some of the mistakes they made in the first game. I think they'll be a bit better. So there are some things that I look at. Justin Reed did not participate. Alvin Kamara did not participate. Kamara's probably out again, which means Devin Neal is the starter. I haven't been too impressed by the Saints' run game. And Justin Reed is a really good player. If he's out, that's pretty impactful. But, yeah, I just think the Panthers' defense, I respect what they are. They're not extremely talented, but their secondary is actually pretty talented. You know, J.C. Horn, Trayvon Morig should be back from suspension. I like the way they kind of keep everything in front of them. They do make plays on the football. They do have a pick a game, it feels like. They force some dicey throws. They make calculated risks. And then up front, Derek Brown can terrorize you. They can slow down the run fairly well. I don't think the Saints are a team that can just flat out run the ball on teams. So I think the Panthers are the better team. I think the Panthers need this game. I think they lost the first game. They won't let this game slip. They'll be taking the Saints 100% serious. And Tyler Shuck, while I do like Tyler Shuck, I think that it's a team that doesn't need the game. And Bryce almost in a dome might be better. Like, in terms of just his production and his ability, because he doesn't have an extremely strong arm. He plays with timing. He plays with accuracy. That's kind of his game. So I'll take the over. I'll take Carolina -2.5. Under a field goal, I do like the Panthers here. Next, Cardinals at the Texans. 42.5 is the total. 9.5 is the spread. This is one of those games that I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, the Cardinals are going to keep this close. The Texans don't really have an offense, etc., etc. But I actually think the Texans are going to cover this game. And then the total is 42.5. I will take the... I will take the under because it's the Texans at home. But I don't trust it because of potential like fourth quarter stuff, backdoor stuff. But I do think the Texans will win this game pretty confidently. And I do think that they're going to obliterate the Arizona offense. Like, I'm pretty confident about that. I can't seem to find the injury report. Let me see if I can find the injury report. Eventually, I'll scroll past it, I feel like. Oh, there it is. Okay, so, and an interesting thing, I wanted to check it because the Cardinals are so injured. And that's a part of the reason I think people are miscalculating the Cardinals. They don't quite understand how many players are injured for this team and how impactful that is. That's why they got their doors blown off versus the Rams. You know, they've been getting their doors blown off by the Seahawks, by the Niners, by the Rams. Really good football teams. I think the Texans are a really good football team. And I think there's some things that the Texans offense can do at home in their controlled environment in the dome against the Cardinals defense that's beat up that they weren't able to do against the Chiefs on the road in the cold. So I think the Texans will be more efficient on offense. Their defense will play at an awesome level as they always do. And I just see this getting kind of out of hand. So Budda Baker did not participate. Kelvin Beachum, tackle, did not participate. Evan Brown did not participate. Marvin Harrison Jr. did not participate. Paris Johnson Jr., left tackle, did not participate. Bilal Nichols, backup defensive tackle, did not participate. Josh Sweat did not participate. Taylor Demerson did not participate. Josh Thompson did not participate. Dalvin Tomlinson didn't participate. I don't know how many of these are rest related. How many of these, again, check on Thursday and Friday. But man, they are very injured. Their receiving core is injured. Their secondary is injured. Their offensive line is injured. I mean, there's a lot of injuries here. Now, looking at the Texans, Autry, Trent Brown, and Al-Shaair did not participate. Nick Chubb and Woody Marks didn't participate. That's something to watch. Their running back position. Sheldon Rankins didn't participate. Kamari Lassiter didn't participate. Now, that being said, I think a lot of those are more rest related. And I'm going to double check for both sides here because I think that doesn't give us too much clarity. But I'm going to look at this just in case because the Texans just played a physical game against the Chiefs on the road. So Al-Shaair, ankle, Lassiter, foot. Okay, it does appear to be pretty legit. Now, none of these players for the Texans, I recall leaving the game other than Nick Chubb. So that's something to keep in mind, that the Texans, they might just be resting those guys. I don't think it's rest necessarily, but it's like minor injuries that I think those guys will be playing. Now, on the Cardinals side, I do think that a lot of these guys are actually injured. Paris Johnson would be massive against the Texans. He has a knee injury. Marvin Harrison, a heel injury. Josh Sweat, rest. Budda Baker, rest. So that's good for the Cardinals. But Taylor Demerson's been out for a long time. Jalen Thompson, he didn't participate with a hamstring. So, yeah, a lot of injuries for the Cardinals still. On the offensive line, on the defense, I think that the Texans will dominate on defense, as they always do. If Marvin Harrison is out, Michael Wilson has been really good, but Derek Stingley will take him out of the game, right? And they'll probably double Trey McBride, take him out of the game to a certain degree. The Cardinals do not have a good run game. I don't think they'll be able to run against the Texans. And in Houston, that pass rush is even better. And against an offensive line that might not have Paris Johnson, that is pretty tough for Jacoby Brissett, who is going to get battered, bruised, and brutalized against Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter and company. So I think the Texans could just force a lot of mistakes from the Cardinals quarterback and or offense. And even so, a lot of possessions for the Texans offense. Meanwhile, I think that Stroud can have a good game. I actually thought that Stroud, when given moments of time, did play well against the Chiefs. And I thought against a bad defense, the Colts, he actually played really well for 3 quarters. And the Cardinals are kind of on the Colts level. They might even be worse because of all their injuries. And I think the Texans have just been a better offense than people think because they only watch them in the primetime games against really good teams like the Chiefs, where they don't look that good for stretches of the game. But yeah, I just kind of have this feel that the Texans are going to win by double digits. It's going to be more so because their defense just utterly destroys the Cardinals and it creates a blowout. But I do believe in the Texans offense and what I've seen from them in recent weeks. And I just have no belief in this Cardinals team that has no fight left. Their coach might get fired. They don't know who their quarterback of the future is. There's injuries across the board to really good players on their defense and their offense. And now they might have an offensive line that can't even block. So, yeah, I like the Texans, and I'll take the under because it's the Texans game. Next, the Patriots and the Bills. Probably the best game of the week. In New England, Buffalo favored by 1 on the road. 49.5 is the total. This game could also have snow. Now, I'm going to look that up, but I have seen an indication that there could be some snow at Gillette on Sunday. As a Patriots fan, I am almost starting to feel like in previous weeks I was like, I don't really care about this game. Like, this game doesn't really matter too much to me because the Patriots are 2 games ahead of the Bills. I still think New England's going to win the division. Like, to me, this game means a lot more for the Bills than it does for the Patriots. Like, just from my fan point perspective. And I don't really hate the Bills. Like, I like Josh Allen. I like the Bills. Like, I don't really hate them in any way, shape, or form. But it's kind of becoming to this thing where a lot of people are picking the Bills. A lot of people are on the Bills. And they're kind of making it seem like the Patriots, like, they're going to lose this game. Like, they're not as good as the Bills. And it's like, I don't really understand that because the Bills are a really inconsistent team. They have a really poor receiving core. Their defense can't stop the run. They're kind of injured a little bit. And they're just not a good defensive team. And they're very flawed. Like, the Bills are, don't get me wrong, Josh Allen is spectacular. He's Superman. But they're very flawed. The Patriots are a much better, like, honestly, better team. Like, they have a lot of better elements. They're a better roster to me than the Buffalo Bills. And they have a quarterback that's just as good almost as Josh Allen, if not better. He's played better this year. So it's kind of weird the way that this game is being discussed. But I do kind of figure that, I mean, the Bills kind of have to win this game. If the Bills don't win this game, like, who's going to pick them to go to the Super Bowl? How are they going to get to the Super Bowl? They lost 2 games to the Patriots, and this one that's so important to their chances of even having a chance to win the division. If they lose this game, the division is over. The Patriots clinch it. This is a hat and t-shirt game for the New England Patriots. Now, one of the elements that I think will actually help Buffalo is snow. So it says here that there's going to be cold with snow much of the time, 5 to 10 centimeters. Total storm snowfall 1 to 3 centimeters. 96% chance of precipitation. So it does appear that there's going to be snow for the Patriots and Bills. And if that is the case, I will take the Bills. Because I know the Bills have the better run game. The Patriots, previous to Milton Williams' injury, were really good against the run, like really good. And they stopped James Cook in the first game, which was a big factor in why New England won. But Milton Williams is out, and Will Campbell is out. So the offensive and defensive lines of the Patriots are missing 2 of their best players. And if the game is snow-related, sure, that might change the pass rush of both teams, and that might actually help the Patriots in some ways. But I think the run game of the Bills will have more success. Now, New England, Buffalo's a bad run defense. So New England might be able to run the ball on their own right. But Buffalo has a lot more experience playing in the snow. This isn't the Tom Brady Patriots. This isn't the Bill Belichick Patriots where it's honestly like an automatic win for the Patriots. Like, Anytime I saw snow, it was like, yeah, New England's going to win by 40. Like, they're going to win by 24. How many points do they win by? Not do they win, it's how many do they win by. This team, I've seen Drake May a couple times in precipitation, and he's not the same player. And I love Drake May. He's probably the best quarterback in the league right now. But he has not been the same. And Josh Allen is the best quarterback in those elements in the league. So I think it does tilt towards the Bills. I would also say that the Bills' offense is formulated for success in those conditions. They run the ball really well. They're built through the offensive line. They're built through their tight ends. And they're built through their screens. They don't throw the ball vertically. New England is a vertical passing team. New England is an explosive offense. New England, because of Drake May, they're the best deep passing team in football. And they are the better passing team in this game. And I think New England holds the advantage in the secondary. Maybe New England in these elements will be able to sell out to stop the run because they don't fear the Bills receivers. That is an element to watch. But I personally if there is snow, I would go with the Bills because they have the quarterback I trust in those conditions, and they have the run game I trust. And they've played in those conditions many more times. It's an experience thing. New England, the teams of the past, yes, I'd pick them, but I haven't seen this team in that experience yet. So if that is the case, I would pick the Bills. If this game was in a dome, I would pick the Patriots because I think the Patriots are the better team. I think they have less flaws. I think their passing game is much, much better and much, much more consistent. And I think their defense is much more well-rounded. The Bills, they have to kind of sell out to stop the run. And maybe in the snow they can do that. So, I will take the Bills. It's a more desperate game for them. They are probably slightly healthier just in terms of like the more impactful players. New England has 2 critical injuries. That changes the game. When you look at the Bills, Dawson Knox didn't participate, but other than that, like Bernard could be back, Boza could be back, Spencer Brown will be back, Josh Palmer might be back. So those are all big things for the Bills. Tonga for the Patriots should be playing, but otherwise, like with Milton Williams, with Will Campbell, those are big injuries for this game. So expecting weather, I would take the Bills. I probably won't even bet this game. In terms of the total, I think if it is weather related, I would go with an under. Because I think that both defensive coaches are going to understand how to play this game. Vrabel played in these conditions plenty of times, and McDermott has coached in these conditions many times. And I think both teams will be focused on slowing down the run, and I think both teams will be able to get away with riskier coverages in order to do that because of the conditions. So this is a prove-it game for me, for Drake May, and for the Patriots, just in terms of, like, if you can sweep the Bills, you know how impressive that is? Sweeping the Bills. And then on top of that, like, doing it in their conditions would be even more impressive, even if it's at home. Now, the Bills have not been a very good away team. They've not been a very good road team. So there are things like that, but I think the Bills in those conditions, I think I have to take the Bills. All right, next. The Detroit Lions at the LA Rams. Now, this game will have no conditions. It's in LA. LA minus 5.5, and the total is 55. That is a high total. I like the Lions getting 5.5, 6. I've seen it pop to 6 at times. I'll lean towards the Lions. The total is 55.5. The Lions also have extended rest. They have 10 days to prepare for this game and get healthier, including Amon-Ra St. Brown, who found a way to play last week. The Rams, they're pretty healthy, so, like, I'm not too concerned about anything the Rams. Like, they have almost no injuries. Like, Devontae Adams isn't practicing, but he'll find a way to play by the end of the week. Looking at the Lions injury report, Brian Branch is probably out. That is huge. Taylor Decker didn't participate today, but I'm not so sure that he'll be out. Kirby Joseph will probably be back, but Brian Branch will be out. I think Brian Branch missing is ginormous. I mean, he might be their best player. He probably is their best player in their secondary, even with Kirby Joseph returning. So I would still lean Lions because they've won these matchups the last couple of years. And they've been able to run the ball on the Rams. They've been able to physically hang with the Rams. And I think Jared Goff playing against his former team, there's a certain edge that people talk about Stafford versus the Lions, but there's a certain edge to Goff that he plays with, and he plays well in these games. And I think that Goff is the type of quarterback that does suit the style of how the Rams want to play defense. We've seen Mac Jones have plenty of success against these Rams. It's like you need to dink and dunk and make the correct decision and be willing to throw the ball underneath. And Goff does that all the time. Goff will take a check down. I actually wish Goff was a little bit more of a downfield-oriented passer, but he will take those 5 yards to Gibbs every single time if it's there. And the Rams kind of let you have that every single time. Meanwhile, without Branch, it's going to be tough for the Lions to really cover the Rams. 55 and a half is a really high total. I mean, you almost are forced to take the under. Like, that is ridiculously high. Like, I feel like I kind of have to take the under just to be wise here. I wouldn't advise taking an over a 55. But like, could the Lions shut down the Rams run game? That is a big X factor here because the Rams are really, really good at running the ball. And I think it's the most overlooked aspect of the Rams is how well they've been running the football. They've been running the football extremely, extremely well. And that's been setting up their play action game. The Lions are a good team against running backs. They're a good team against the ground game for the most part. And I do think they'll have more success than most teams of slowing down the Rams running game. I do. But at the same time, I think Puka should be able to thrive against man-to-man coverage. Adams typically does thrive against man-to-man coverage. Can the Lions get a couple of plays from their defense? Can Aiden Hutchinson make some plays? Like, the Rams pass rush should be able to make some plays against Jared Goff in the interior and get those, that interior pressure that has affected Jared Goff all year. But at the same time, I kind of feel like the Lions are going to be able to dink and dunk and screen and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I like the Lions to keep it close, but I do think the Rams will win because I just have more trust in the Rams at home getting the necessary pass rush in the big moments, and I'll lean Stafford in the fourth quarter over Jared Goff and Puka Nacua in the fourth quarter. Sean McVay to have a couple nice play calls here and there, but this is going to be a good game, and I kind of just want to take the under because it's 55 is just ridiculous. Like, these defenses are going to make some plays. These aren't like the two worst defenses in the league. In fact, I think the Rams are top 10 and the Lions are flirting with it. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Next, 44.5 is the total between the Titans and the Niners. 12.5 is the spread for the Niners. I'll take the Niners to cover, and I will take, my goodness. I'll take the over 44.5. Don't love that, but I'll take the over. The Titans moved the ball a bit against the Browns last week. Not a ton. A lot of it was based on Browns' mistakes. That's why they beat the Browns in Cleveland. But they still beat the Browns in Cleveland, which is not like nothing. And Tony Pollard had a really good day running the ball. I like the Niners, though, to cover here because I think Purdy's going to have a really good game. And I think off the bye week, he's going to be more rested and more ready. I think Shanahan is going to really hone in on his offense, and they're going to have some wrinkles going forward. And I do think that this Titans defense, their secondary is atrocious. I mean, even with all the screens that he threw, Shador throwing for 300 yards against you is a disgrace. You look at the Titans secondary, guys, they are atrocious. Like, their secondary is the worst in football on paper. It's really, really, really bad. Watch out for some injuries to the Titans. Some big names on their injury report: Kevin Zeitler, Jeffrey Simmons. Now, those guys are probably just resting, but something to watch. For the 49ers, I think everyone will be playing except for potentially Bethune, their linebacker, and Sam Aquanu, who is more of a rotation pass rusher. But the Niners defense has been playing well. They're specifically been playing well against the run. And I do think that Salah is going to get stops against a young quarterback like Cam Ward, who can't really trust his protection. If the Niners can slow down and take away Tony Pollard from ripping off big runs, I don't think that the Niners fear the Titans receivers in any way, shape, or form. And the Niners secondary has actually been thriving the last couple of games. Like Lenore, Green, Jair Brown, these guys are playing really, really well. And I think that's a really slept on facet of the 49ers moving forward is the secondary. But offensively, I think Purdy is going to have a big game. Kittle, Jennings, Pearsall maybe for the first time since returning. McCaffrey's going to get his. Like, all the Titans can really do is slow down the run game a bit. And you know that Shanahan's going to find a couple different runs, specifically on the edge of this defense, that he can hit and they can take advantage of. And then on top of that, I just think Purdy's going to have like 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. I think the Titans secondary is literally a CFL secondary. So I think the Niners, because of that, they'll be pushing the ball. And I think that will lead to like a 31-17 victory. So I'll take the 49ers and I'll take the over in this one. Next, 43.5 is the total for Packers Broncos. Green Bay -2.5. Green Bay is a much better home defense than road defense. I've noticed that throughout the season. I think that has to do with their defensive front and their pass rush. I like Green Bay a lot in this game, -2.5. Now, the total I would lean over because I actually think the Packers are a really bad matchup for Denver's defense. Now, that sounds weird because Denver is a very good defense and Denver is at home. But I think that Denver is going to have problems with Christian Watson. I think they're going to have problems with defending the explosives of the Packers. Jordan Love is a really good quarterback this year against man coverage. I believe he ranks first. They're also one of the best explosive passing teams. And they're very good against the blitz because Love can deliver off of bad platforms. And the Broncos love to bring extra guys. I think LaFleur will have answers for that. I also believe that Jaden Reed coming back, he looked really good last week just in terms of how he looked. I think the combination of Reed and Watson are tough to stop. Jacobs, you've got to respect him in the run game. And I think the Packers defense also is tough for the Broncos in terms of the Broncos, they're not a great running team. So the Packers don't really have to overcompensate to stop that. The Broncos, they're not a great passing team in terms of like just overall schematics and receiver talent, and they can't really like just dog the Packers secondary. And the Packers play a lot of zone coverages that I think can confuse Bo Nix. They have a lot of speed. Micah Parsons, Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper. They've got a lot of speed up front, and they can track down Bo Nix and make those plays when he looks to scramble. And I think they can get some stops in the pass game. Like, I think the Packers are going to hit explosives. It'll probably be like a low success rate but high explosive rate for the Packers on offense. And then I think on defense, they are going to be able to control that side of the ball because I don't think that the Broncos really have the offense to be able to beat the Packers. I don't think, yeah, their O-line's pretty good, but I don't think Bo Nix is the guy against this Packers defense. I think they'll be able to rally and tackle. I think they'll get a couple pressures at times. Halfley's a really good coordinator. He'll heat Bo Nix up at the right time. I think the Packers, this is a really favorable matchup for them, even on the road. So I like them -2.5. This might be my favorite bet of the week. And then in terms of the total, I'll take the under. It is in Denver. It'll probably be cold weather. I like the matchup for the Packers defense. So I'll take the under 42.5. The next game is the Colts at the Seahawks. Seattle -13.5. The total is 42.5. Phillip Rivers looks like he's going to be starting this game. Grandpa Phillip Rivers. 13.5 is an outrageous spread, but I don't know how you could go with Phillip Rivers. I mean, I want him to do well here, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Seattle, I got to take Seattle, and I guess I'll take, I don't know. I don't know on the total. Like, this is a really hard game to bet. I mean, we're watching a 44-year-old grandpa potentially play in Seattle against Mike McDonald's defense, a ferocious front seven, a ferocious pass rush. The Colts have to run the ball in this game, and Seattle is really, really good against the run. And on the other side, like, Seattle could run the ball on the Colts. That's a possibility. The Colts have been susceptible in recent games, especially without DeForest Buckner. No Sauce Gardner. That does help JSN go off. Something's telling me over 42.5, so I'll go with the over here. And I'll take Seattle. I think they win by like 17 to 20 points. I don't have much to break down. I mean, I wish Phillip Rivers good luck. I hope he doesn't get hurt. The offensive line of the Colts, though, is pretty good. And the receivers, the offense, the scheme, it's a good scheme. It's just that I think Seattle's defense is really, really good. They're fast. They're physical. They're great athletes. And then on the other side, I think Seattle should have a good game offensively. Like, they should be able to run the ball. They should be able to make their plays in the passing game. Rashid Shaheed maybe continues to unlock here. I'll take Seattle, and I'll take the over for some reason. Next, 48 is the total for Vikings, Dallas -6. I'll take the Cowboys to cover, and I will take 47.5, 48. I'll take the, I don't know, because Dallas, this is like two teams that are conflicting. So Minnesota's an under team, but Dallas is an over team. Dallas is at home. Dallas's defense, I'll take the over. I think that's my hunch at 47.5, 48. I'll take the over because J.J. McCarthy, I think, will be able to make some throws against these corners to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison on the outside. I think, especially if they get down early, I think that JJ and the Vikings will be pushing the ball, and I think they'll be able to create something. And I do trust Kevin O'Connell to put together a plan where they can attack some of the weaknesses of a familiar coordinator in Matt Eberflus, who they've seen many times in Chicago. Dallas's defensive line, though, could be the difference if they can get pressure on the young quarterback with a beat-up Vikings offensive line. But again, like the Vikings defense is good, but they're not as good on the road. And Dak and Dallas is dominant at home. And Dak and Dallas has had 10 days. They've had extra time to prepare for Flores. Dak is really good at deciphering the blitz and knowing where to go when he's hot. CeeDee Lamb probably will be playing this game. George Pickens is coming off his worst game of the year. Vikings tend to give up some explosives. I don't think they can hang with those receivers, and you've got to be able to slow down Javonte Williams as well. Jake Ferguson, also a really good piece against zone coverage. I just think Dallas is going to score high 20s or low 30s. That's just what they do at home. And then I think that given the state of Dallas' secondary, I still think if you can block them well enough, you can make plays. I don't love J.J. McCarthy, but he should be able to make some plays here. So I'll lean over, but I do think Dallas wins like 30 to 20 or something like that. Like 27-20, like somewhere around there. I don't think 6 is enough. I don't think 6 is enough. If this gets to 5.5, I think this is a bet. Like, I think Dallas minus 5.5 is a bet. So that's one to watch. I think Dallas is, they played bad against Detroit, and Detroit's offense did whatever they wanted in that second half, especially. But I think Dallas is still a really good team, and I don't believe in the Vikings. I don't. I think the Vikings have beat bad teams. That's all they've really done. And the final game is the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like Miami plus 3.5, as I've mentioned, and I will take, this is actually kind of tough, but I'll take the under. It's probably going to be cold in Pittsburgh, and I don't think there'll be precipitation or snow, but I think it will be cold, and Tua's not very good in the cold. But I do think the Dolphins can lean on their run game, and I think that will help them come out as an underdog and win this game. But I do really like them with 3.5. I think this is going to be a field goal game. But this could be 21-17, 2017, 24-20, 23-20, somewhere in that range. Yeah, it's going to be right around the number. Like, right around the number. 21-14. Miami's defense has been really good lately, though. I really like how they're playing. They're playing hard. They're playing fast. I think they have an underrated front. I think that Rasul Douglas has played really well. Minka Fitzpatrick revenge game. And I think Mike McDaniel has the schematical edge in this game. I think he's going to find ways to run the football on the Steelers, just as Buffalo did. Devon Achane should be playing, but Jalen Waddle's another mismatch. You know, Malik Washington in the screen game. Like, I think Miami is going to find ways to move the ball on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I actually kind of think that both these teams are similar in their offensive approach. They both want to run it. They both want to throw short passes, quick throws. But I think Miami's just better at that. They're just better schematically. They're better in the run game. And I think Miami's defense is actually playing at a higher level. I think Miami wins. I'd probably take them on the money line in some way, shape, or form. But given that the weather and you look at the Steelers, that grass is just terrible. I kind of feel like that slows the game down. Probably not a lot of explosive throws over the top. It's probably an under. It's probably ugly. Pittsburgh's defense always comes to play in these big spots at home, TJ Watt, etc. I don't really trust Tua. So I would lean under, but I do like Miami because I think they'll just have a better schematical attack. And that's why I'll take them here. There it is, guys. My picks for week 15 of the NFL season. If you enjoyed, Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Money Mitch for more money picks on the channel every week. Peace.